do you begin to combat people like Julie, who says she's terrified of Labour getting in?
Well, I'm sorry to hear that from Julie. It was interesting that she said that she'd always voted Conservative and that she won't be this time. And, I speak to voters up and down the country. We've had a number of recent by-elections in Wellingborough, in Kingswood, before that in Mid-Bedfordshire and Tamworth. And voters tell us time and time again that they want change after 14 years of Conservative government and 14 years of failure, cost of living crisis, that they want change. And that's why it's so disappointing, actually, that Rishi Sunak has said there won't be a general election on the 2nd of May, because people deserve to have that choice. They deserve to be able to vote for the change that they want.
Rating has it been for you to actually learn that we're not going to get a spring election?
Well, what I say to Rishi Sunak is, look, there's still time to call it. He could call an election up until the 26th of March to take place on the 2nd of May. So, just get on and call it. The 2nd of May is the right time in the electoral cycle to have an election. We've got council and mayoral elections on that day. What's he running scared of? It's time to give the public a say, and he's still got time to call it.
I know that Labour has concerns over national insurance. We've had that reduction again, another 2% off national insurance from the Chancellor, but also that indication he may want to scrap national insurance altogether. It does beg the question that people don't seem to be asking is, well, what do we do with that big shortfall?
Yeah, there's a £46 billion black hole in the Chancellor's proposals. He says that he wants to scrap national insurance, but that means either borrowing has to go up, or we see cuts to pensions or to the NHS, or further tax rises elsewhere. And I think he needs to come clean with where this £46 billion is going to come from. If it's more borrowing, it's yet another unfunded spending commitment from this government. We saw what happened in Liz Truss's mini budget when they made unfunded spending commitments. That crashed the economy, and people are still paying the price of that through higher mortgage costs. It's reckless by this Chancellor to make these sorts of unfunded spending commitments.
I suppose, given that we're probably going to face an election in the latter half of this year, that gives you in Labour more time to figure out how you're going to fund some of your ideas, because, of course, that was scuppered just recently by the Prime Minister, announcing that it was the non-dom status is going to be gotten rid of, as it were, which was one way that you were going to help fund some of your plans. So it gives you a bit more time to sort that out, doesn't it?
Well, we've been calling for non-dom status to be ended for several years now, and it's great that the government decided to steal our policy. It does beg the question, why did it take them so long? That money could have been put into our NHS and public services over the last couple of years. They've stolen our policy. It is our job now to go through the budget, go through the figures, and make sure that everything we put forward is fully costed. But we are committed to reducing NHS waiting lists through those extra 2 million appointments and procedures. We're committed to the free breakfast clubs in primary school, giving every child the best possible start to the day and enabling parents to get out to work. So we'll be going through the numbers really carefully, and I've got every confidence in our Shadow Chancellor, Ellie Reeves. We're going through that and working out how those can be funded after the government stole our policies.
It's almost back to my first point. As Deputy Campaign Coordinator, you've got an awful lot of work to do, haven't you? Because the one thing the Labour Party isn't doing is actually coming out with a great deal of ideas. Now, admittedly, you're not going to do that before the manifesto is out and we all know exactly what you stand for. You're worried about other parties nicking your ideas. We know how it works politically. But people aren't inspired to vote for Labour. They may be inspired not to vote for the Tories at the minute. But what are they voting for with the Labour Party, apart from, as you say, well, they just want a change?
Well, there's plenty of more policies of ours that the Conservatives could steal. For example, ending tax breaks for private schools and putting an immediate injection into our state schools where the vast majority of children attend. So recruiting 6,500 new specialist teachers, putting mental health support workers in every school. You know, these are the sorts of things we do. Also reform of planning so that we can get Britain building again. 1.5 million houses in the course of the first Parliament. And a national wealth fund to create good jobs, the jobs of the future in things like electric vehicle manufacturing, carbon capture of storage. You know, we've had such low growth in this country for so long. Growth has stagnated under the Conservatives. We've now got Rishi's recession. Working people are worse off. We're facing the highest tax burden in 70 years. So we've got a plan for growth and a plan to invest in our failing public services. That's the difference between Labour and the Conservatives.